Spider-Man is a franchise second only to Batman in a catalogue of villains who are regular people who have simply lost their minds. And I really insist upon second because, so far as I'm aware, Spider-Man does not contain any goated lesbian power couples in the villain lineup. Magic already has probably the perfect mechanic to represent in-game a person slowly losing their mind or gaining power from the process of losing their mind. But madness is, to be generous, an absolute rules nightmare. And so, introduced in the new Spider-Man set, Mayhem is fixed madness. If a card in your graveyard has Mayhem and you discarded it this turn, you may cast it for its Mayhem cost. It's so simple. I know that at first glance, Mayhem may seem a little bit clunky rules-wise compared to the incredible smoothness of madness. But if you think that, do yourself a favor sometime and actually go look up the Oracle text for madness, because now that we're not writing our rules text based off vibes like some other games I might mention, madness does some absolutely crazy things in order to actually achieve the timing that it's supposed to have, including discarding cards to exile instead of to the graveyard. If you've ever dealt with the commanders going to the commander zone instead of dying and triggering goes to graveyard triggers, is that times a million. The cards that we're going to see printed with Mayhem are going to be relatively straightforward. We can really just print everything that has in the past had madness and now will be cast without having flash. We don't have to have a quiet under-the-table debate about Incorrigible Youths technically being a 4/3 haste flash creature in mono red, because Raging Goblinoids can just be a Mayhem haste creature that you can't flash in on your opponent's turn by discarding at instant speed. So of course we're going to have a plethora of red and black aggressive cards that are cheaper if you've managed to discard them. The occasional card with a weird synergy that makes it so that casting it from the graveyard is going to justify having a higher Mayhem cost than a regular casting cost. And of course, cards that just give everything in your graveyard Mayhem because this is a fixed mechanic and we can do this now without knocking out the foundational pillars of the game by accident. And before we get too far into the video, no, I don't think we're getting another Rootwaller that is a creature with madness/mayhem 0. And if, like me, you think that we are getting robbed by not getting a new Rootwaller because Standard could absolutely handle some 2/2s for 0 mana right now, then leave a comment, like and subscribe. Join the army of people who want more degenerate nonsense in Standard. And of course, the meat of this video, deck building. All of my examples are going to be cards from Standard, partially because I think telling people how to build stuff in Commander is overly prescriptive, and a lot of the appeal of Commander is just building based on vibes. But I can tell you right now that the tenets of this deck building are going to apply in any format. It is merely going to be up to you, the viewer, to find the best synergies for your kitchen table. In short, there are two forms of discarding that fit perfectly with Mayhem as a mechanic, and they are discarding for value and discarding for free. Discarding for value is going to be the kind of thing that is relatively easy to spot because it's everywhere. In Standard, you're going to see cards like Grab the Prize, discard a non-land card to do 2 extra damage to face, and then additionally, because you've discarded a non-land card, you get to cast the card because it has Mayhem. This also applies to everything in the Spider-Man set that has Connive. Discard a non-land card to get a +1/+1 counter on your Connive creature, activate modified, cast the card that you discarded for its Mayhem cost. You see, villainy is nothing if not synergistic. Discarding for value, though, is not the powerful side of this coin. I will argue it is the much more fun. There's nothing quite like casting Macabre Waltz, returning 2 creatures from my graveyard, and then discarding a Mayhem creature to then cast it, especially if one of the creatures that I returned with the Macabre Waltz was the Mayhem creature that I then immediately discard to cast it. Just a fantastic, inoffensive value play that lets you put one of the absolutely grossest magic arts in all of existence into your deck. The powerful side of this coin is discarding for free. This is setting yourself up on an earlier turn with a discard outlet that was meant to be a cost in some way, or has generally been overlooked by design, and then using that to spend your entire mana curve on Mayhem effects. Standard has two prime suspects for this. Inti, Seneschal of the Sun, which is going to attack, make itself bigger, and then let you cast additional creatures, but does unfortunately miss main phase 1 timing, so you can't, say, cast your Raging Goblinoids and then attack with it and then get an additional +1/+1 counter, etc, etc. But Highway Robbery is an absolute incredible card. Plot this card on turn 2, and then you can play it, discard your Raging Goblinoids, get your 5/4 haste on turn 3, and draw 2 cards. That's the horrifying version of Muldrifter that we've all dreamed of, and is, of course, just in mono red, in standard, in common and uncommon. Once you start pitching rares and mythics like Carnage, you get to some absolutely insane pop-ups in Constructed. And again, in Commander, there's going to be many and varied, insane enablers that have long since been rotated out of modern Magic design. You can take the original Aquamoeba or Wild Mongrel, which you can just pitch your entire hand to for no reason, without having to play a gimmicky card like One with Nothing. Overall, I'm more than happy to say Mayhem does what you think it does, you should play it with the cards that you think that you should play it with, and it is going to be excellent if you can build a deck with a good curve.